Hi, welcome to a run through of all the books I've got about silent movies. The 100 Biographies of the Silent Film Era is one of them. Also, things like this one, The Slapstick Divas. So I'm just going to run through all the books I've got. This one's superb. I love this. 100 Biographies of the Silent Film Era. Now, sadly, most of the films mentioned in this book probably don't exist. So it's very hard to actually determine whether they were great actors or not. Because, of course, about 90% of those completely gone. Various things, obviously, they burnt to a crisp, or they just got lost, or they just studios closed, they dumped them all in the skip, all those sort of things, because, of course, they were no use for them, and that was it. There's some really good DVDs and Blu-rays that are really worth checking out, where it sort of shows all these old silent movies being found and just stored away in a sort of in a swimming pool, those sort of things. Also, of course, other sources of these films have been found. But still, probably about 90% still sadly missing. But at least we got the books, and it's full of some great picks. Obviously, some famous ones. There you got there, Louise Brooks, and also Eric Campbell, who I must admit I'm not aware of, but it gives a little bit of detail. Obviously, Joan Crawford, fairly familiar. Quite amazing when some of these people, you think, oh, you know what, I never realised that like Joan Crawford was really a silent movie star, as well as, of course, later on. Cecile B. DeMille, there. Also, another thing when you read some of these, sometimes you're amazed. You think, oh, blimey, they lived to about 80 or 90. Some, of course, didn't, sadly, and probably because of that. And, of course, you've got some like Felix the Cat as well mentioned here. John Gilbert, as well as, let's just find another, Model T Ford. Not certain that was a film star, but I guess might as well put it in. And Edna, I can never say her name, for Purviance, something like that. But I love the fact that it includes these sort of things. And lots of these ones you can find in various archive.org. There's loads of the old film magazines from like 1914, 1912. And you can see all these sort of things. I just absolutely love looking at these. Just fascinating. Of course, again, some of these films probably don't exist. So all you've got really is this, maybe the occasional still, that's it. Or maybe a shot from the actual production, actual time. Ford Sterling, another actor that I'm not particularly familiar with. So there's that. Slapstick Divas. Now this goes into a lot more detail. The women of silent copy, loads and loads. Obviously Mabel Normand, but there's also loads of other people that I, obviously Dorothy Gish, fairly famous, reasonably so. Lillian Gish, of course. And then you've got Faye Tincher, probably an actress that's not particularly well known. And Margaret Jocelyn, another actress that probably fairly not well. And there's Mary Thurman. Obviously, many of these just sort of faded away, sadly. They had about 2 or 3 years of stardom. They were in about 20 or 30 or 100 films. Sometimes they churned out lots of these films. But sadly, a lot of the films were destroyed, lost, forgotten, whatever. And you've got Madge Kirby, and they sound brilliant. I mean, and certainly when you look at some of them on YouTube, some are really, really good actors and actresses. And you think, wow. But sadly, so few of their films. And of course, you've got Betty Bronson, another actress that I'm not familiar with. Billy Burke, again, and also some actually lived quite a long time. You've got 1884 to 1917, obviously gives details about it. And she was actually continued on, even appeared in Wizard of Oz. So obviously famous in this period, obviously the silent movies, but also continued on, maybe sometimes just appearing obviously as a bit part, etc., in quite famous films. And obviously Lauren Hardy and all that sort of thing. Carmen Deroux. And it gives, of course, details about all their various films. I assume most of their films, or maybe not all the films, because some of them, like I say, did appear in a lot. But it's a really, really good book, and it's packed solid with a big 600, 700 pages of information by Steve Masser. Absolute masterpiece. I love this one. This one's a great book. Movies of the Silent Years. I just love this one, consultant editor. I've got the movies of the 60s, movies of the 70s. Yeah, I think they produced quite a few. You can see there on the back. 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, who's who, and great movie actresses as well was part of the series. Really, I think this was part of a magazine. I guess it was. There was a movie magazine. Vaguely remember that. And you can see it's just full of some great articles. Gives a lot of information about all the various films again. Showing obviously more pictures about it. It's about the studios as well, the Hollywood Dawn, as it says there. And also, the lovely sections they often had like this, the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is great. But a few stills. Also, of course, tells you all about the film, so you don't have to watch the Blu-ray. If you do, of course, you know what is going to happen in it. Don't read it if you want any spoilers, of course. And also gives details, of course, by directed. That was in 1919. But it's got loads and loads of Pandora's Box as well featured there, and many, of course, the westerns. Obviously, it talks about the French, German films, and Battleship Potemkin as well, and all the way through to The Lodger and many, many other films. A really lovely little book, this one. Movies of the Silent Years. You should be able to pick it up reasonably easy. Copies are all over the place for a couple of quid, probably. This one's a lovely one. Now, not particularly a silent movie, but I can't date it, so I don't exactly know. Sort of around that sort of time, you've got pictures here, lots of the people. Certainly, probably the silence into, of course, the movies as we know it now. So you've got there. I mean, I can't really tell, to be honest. Like I say, there's no date, unfortunately, but it's certainly all the people, Clara Bow, all the people that sort of you associate with the silent movies are definitely included here. And of course, many other actresses. Wynne Gibson, I couldn't say that I know particularly well, or Polly Walters, etc. But I love these books. These are just great. You sort of see all the various pictures there. You've got Madge Evans, Frank Lawton. Again, I think you can virtually go through the entire book. I hardly know a single actor or actress in this. Karen Morley. But what a lovely book this is. The Golden Treasure Album of the Screen. Again, unfortunately, it doesn't include any dating. So I have no idea. Nothing. In fact, it doesn't even include anything on there. Very odd. Got quite a few books like that. You just think, very hard. You have to do a bit of detective work, try and work out, now, is that actor, did they appear before this person or that? Maybe that's probably a clue. But still, this one's a lovely one. Birth of the Movies. And you obviously got lots of things like showing things like sheds this is where Edison films were made. Sort of, they obviously show very basic shed, sort of thing you could probably put in your back garden, sort of thing. And obviously someone on a halfpenny, I suppose, wasn't it? Halfpenny temporarily abandons his horse there. I think I would be straight on the floor if I went up on one of those. Music for emotion. That's the thing that always amazed me, that they actually had music while they were acting. So you'd actually, I don't know if it was it for every film, but you'd actually have like an orchestra playing away as the actors. I suppose it got you into the sort of mood of the thing, but it's just fascinating to know. Of course, we don't, unfortunately, that music, unless the actual score has been saved, who knows? Sadly, probably got long gone. Anyway, you've got loads of pictures of Harold Lloyd, of course. You've also got Rennie Clare there, as well as, let's see, Chaplin as well. A lovely little picture there of Chaplin. I don't know where that was. London Publicity. I've no idea where that was in London. Probably somewhere in the East End, maybe. Movies and Societies. Also, of course, lots of pictures of the actual cinemas at the time. I just think British cinemas, wow, they look really amazing. Sadly, my local Odeon doesn't look remotely like that. But still, these are great. Unfortunately, the really early ones, and I don't know when they started, but you can, of course, probably find copies online. Obviously, PDFs of these, I'm certain they probably do exist. But this 1932 one, again, sort of like the end of silence into the speaking period. But still, you got here, Birth of Oration. I love the way they say that. Birth of Oration. Number of present-day picture-goers who must regard the past in the silence. And I think it was sad. The silence were absolutely magical. I mean, personally, I think comic books are the closest we've got to silence. I know that's a pretty weird way of looking at it, but I think of them silence. You basically have to interpret what you see on the comic book panel and you put it into words, obviously, in your own head. And likewise, the silence, of course, you did much the same. You'd sort of be sitting there. I quite often watch a silent movie. I have no idea what's going on. There's a few things, people sort of, and you think, oh, yeah, that's what's happening. And then, of course, they get a panel pops up sometimes. And sometimes you can't read it because it just... Anyway, so you got that. Oh, maybe not. Right, Frederick March, you got there. Lily Lee. And you've got other actresses, The Devil to Pay. And again, lots of these films, like Abraham Lincoln, many of these probably have long gone. I have no idea, to be honest. I have no idea. Surprise for Hollywood. You got there. Oh, Janet Gaynor. I do know Janet Gaynor. Charles Farrell. Can't say I know him. My Friends Among the British Stars. And you got here, again, Mabel Poulton. Don't know. Terrible. I mean, like I say, lots of these films, I've never seen any of her films, so it's not something that I would say that I remember all these people's names, because there's a lot of names of actors. They were probably in the sort of like limelight for a couple of years, and then that was it. Mary Bryans, again. So it shows you how it changes. 1932 obviously was a big change, as all the actors that, of course, were in silence, they all sadly, not quite often because of their voices. I know Sound of Music always shows that. I don't think that many got lost because of that. At the end of the day, I think it was just, they just didn't maybe fit. They weren't right for the thing, or maybe they decided themselves that their moment. And of course, many of them didn't last that long anyway. They were 2 or 3 years and then they were gone. They produced a great load of films, had big sort of fandom, and that was it, And here's another one, 1927, this one. And again, probably filled with lots of actors and actresses that I've never heard of, and I will miss it. Though I think that one I have heard of. Buster Keaton, he of the frozen face, as it says there. Constance Talmadge. Now, I do know of her. Constance Talmadge. Can't say I've seen many of her films, but then Raymond Navarro as well. And let's see, we've got Alice Joyce in an early film, Womanhood. This is 1916. I love the fact this is an annual from 1927, and they've got pictures, of course, from 1927. But at least it says. Also, you've got here, this is Colleen Moore. Love it. Actually brilliant, Colleen Moore. Douglas Fairbanks. You got there the Sheltered Star, Mary Philbins. Can't say familiar with. Also, you got, let's see, and you got this one, The Beauty from Budapest. Vilma Banky, as well as many, many others all the way. Oh, I know of him. Rudolph Valentino, again a sheikh, apparently. I can't read that. The Orange Girl Who Ruled a King. And that is Nell Gwyn, of course. I should guess from the orange bit. That would be a big clue, wouldn't it? Dorothy Gish. Heard of her. Heard of Dorothy Gish. Ronald Colman. He was good. I really like Ronald Colman. He was a great actor. Oh, Lupino Lane. Wow. Ida Lupino, of course. And then you got Isabel Elsom. Again, lots of these films. The Last Witness. I'm certain they were very good films. But sadly, I suspect many of them, Lewis Stone, as well as many others in this book from 1927. I've seen, I think, 1914. There might be ones earlier. I don't know. But they had so many of these sort of things. Really, really nice book, this one. Anita Lou's Ventures of Laurie Lee, and of course other writings. Quite fascinating insight into all the various silent movie period. That's a really nice little book. This one's a really nice one. The Art of Charlie Chaplin, the comic art of Charlie Chaplin, I should say. This is a graphic celebration by Dennis Gifford. I love his books. Great, lots of, and it's just full of just some wonderful, the funny wonder. Love all those sort of, and these sort of obviously all the various posters as well. You got there, The Kid, of course, Charlie Chaplin, Modern Times, brilliant. Of course, more obviously the Great Dictator. But it's also got lots of things like the cards, the various cards associated. Amazing, of course. I mean, all the various things. I'm certain that if Chaplin was around now, it would have been filled with, there'd be Funko Pops, or there would have been T-shirts, and there would have been everything. I don't know if they did T-shirts back then of Charlie Chaplin. I suspect not. But badges and things. There must have been a whole range of different things that they brought out for Charlie. Obviously, probably canes, maybe. Walking sticks, whatever. I'm certain there must have been some enterprising soul that would have done that. The Funny Wonder, 1 old penny. And you got their magazine of book art. That's obviously a German one. Of course, that was the thing about silence. These people were mega big all across the world because, of course, they didn't have to worry about the fact it was, they would just change the. So you got their Chaplin were a form master. So that would be the case. But Chaplin in the movies, you got all the various Pluck, of course. Pluck magazine. Also, you've got the stories. Now, also weird. This one's a weird one. Felix. See, Felix meets Charlie Chaplin. Very odd. Lovely little thing. And you got the comic capers there. And also another one, lovely Christmas one, that one. Charlie Chaplin, January 7th. January 7th in 1928. Of course, absolute megastar at that time, wasn't he? Funny Wonder again. Christmas, a grand Christmas double. No less. Great little stories. Some actually stand up. They're actually quite reasonable even now. You can read these. I love the artwork, but also the stories. Not Fireman Charlie there. This one is an absolutely brilliant book. Again, full of pictures that films that are probably long gone. Sadly, it doesn't state. But of course, some of these films may have been discovered since, so that would be silly putting saying it's lost. Because not every film stays completely lost. This one, you can see, mere $4.99 there. Bought it, obviously, Oxfam. Always great to pick up these volumes. You probably can find it cheaper. Probably find it for £1 or something in Oxfam as well. But it's worth checking out because it's just full of so many pictures from all these really early ones. And this one's 1909. Obviously, I could have gone even earlier. I think there's pictures from even earlier, from like 1908, 1903, all the Edison films as well. Very odd films there. And it's got all the various people there. I love that. Pity, concentration, hilarity. Look at them say it. Coquette. Get mouth around that one. And also it's got, of course, lots and lots of like slides. Who is she? Because, of course, there was a whole different loads of formats and styles they did it. And look at that one. Love it. Obviously, that Ben-Hur there. Quo Vadis. Wasn't Ben-Hur. Could have been. Who knows? Anyway, 1914, and you got there. I love also one thing that's great when you look at these is the fashions, as well as, of course, all things. No mobile phones. You've obviously got just an old-fashioned phone. Can't imagine having a phone like that. They probably still exist. People probably still got them. Who knows? And of course, you've got various people there. Lillian and Dorothy Gish, I've shown already. They turn up quite a lot. And other people as well. Carlyle Blackwell, apparently. But it's full of so many pictures on this one. Loads and loads and loads of films. Again, probably doesn't include every film. But it's got there Mary Pickford, of course. Very famous. Obviously, Charlie Chaplin, etc. United Artists. And you got, that's a hard word, Valeska Surratt. That's a good name, isn't it? And also you got Louise Glam, whatever. And many others. Of course, you've got all these films. And all the way through 1923, of course, you got there the Where the Pavement Ends. Now, many of these stories, maybe they've remade, I don't know. Perhaps some of them are completely forgotten about. But you've got loads and loads of it. And of course, you've got all pictures of all these actors. And like I say, some of these, they might have been in 10, 15 films, maybe not. But what a fascinating book. This is Gloria Swanson there on the front cover. And on the back, another one. I'm going to say Elsie Ferguson, another actress that I'm not familiar with. Wallace Reid. Name's sort of familiar. However, another book, probably one of the classics. This one is The Parade's Gone By, a really fascinating read, full of loads and loads of pictures again, and really one of the definitive books. Definitely worth checking this book out, and you can get copies of this reasonably priced. In fact, reasonably priced, there's my copy, $1.99. Brilliant, absorbing study of Hollywood, 283 pictures in 700 pages. Really worth picking this one up. The Parade's Gone By, and that's by Kevin Brownlow. Another Anita Loos. This one is the film treatments and fiction. So you've got like sort of part works all the way through, which I think is quite fascinating. You've also got some pictures as well. And also you've got various pays to advertise. You've got obviously some scripts all the way through, just saying there. Also some stories and things. A really nice little book about Anita Loos rediscovered. This one's lovely. Now, this is the supplement. I never bought the actual first one, which is a really odd way of doing it, isn't it? But I bought the supplement. I might buy the other one at some point, because this is a really nice book and it's full of loads of information about Mabel Normand. And you can see, obviously, lots of films on YouTube and lots of other places, of course, DVD, etc., of her. But you've also got lots of information about all what she was doing every day. It's sort of like day by day, all the various things, little snippets. And these are the magazines that were around, like the Moving Picture World, full of tons of it. They would sort of feature like what they were doing or whatever this was happening. This film is going to be produced. This film is going to be produced. Whatever. Maybe it never was. I don't know. But you've also got things like the Salt Lake. I mean, people really created that's find these sort of things. Salt Lake Herald Republican. That's really quite the Charleston Daily Mail. A lot of research to find all this stuff, and it's just like full of loads and loads of things. Now, sadly, not really that many sort of snippets of all the various films and things. It would have been nice, pictures of the sort of the adverts. But there's a few bits and pieces in here. You also, weirdly at the back, you've also got the music as well. The verses, not the music, but the music sheets. Mabel Normand, Molly O, I Love You. as well. Oh, that's got the music. There's the music at the back, so you can actually just quickly go on the piano and have a quick Molly O, I Love You, Tis You, Yourself, etc., etc. So you can check it out. Mabel Normand source book, and there's loads of these little books on Amazon, etc. You can find it. And this one, it says here, follow-up volume, Mabel Normand, a source book, her life, clippings. Now, probably that might actually be a better one for me to check out, because that's the sort of book I really love, all the clippings of all the various films. But anyway, got this one. Unfortunately, it's a typical Amazon one, so the page bends. I really wish I should get the hardback ones, maybe. This is another one of these ones. And again, you see the same problem. It always opens. But this Silent Film Quarterly. Now, sadly, this only lasted about 6 issues. I've only got first issue. Maybe I might get some more, but I will at some. But this has got lots of things like silence and review, discusses all the various films. Also got some lovely pictures there. It's just full of information about silence. And I think it's sad that it didn't last longer than about 6 issues. I think there's a complete volume or a volume with the first 5 issues or something also available as well. But this one, issue 1, and I can't remember how much paid, it was about £8 or something for this one. It's got obviously there's some various things there. This is a fascinating book. America's first movie star. She was mega big back in the 1908, 1909. Sadly, completely forgotten about nowadays. Florence Lawrence, the Biograph girl. She did loads and loads of films. There's some details on the back. She was like in Juliet, Romeo and Juliet, America's very first screen Juliet. Now, I don't know if many of these films still exist, but also repeatedly unsuccessful comeback attempts. Sadly, she killed herself in 1938. This book still is a fascinating read about her life. Another book about Anita Loos. I've got a few books about it. Now, she obviously was a famous writer in her day. I'm certain many people still know who she is. And there's the author of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, obviously a very famous film. Now, this one's got some lovely pictures all the way through, and also it's a quite interesting text as well, all about the period. And you can see there all the various pictures of all the people that she was with at the time. Some, obviously, directors and various people, obviously her family there. There she is there. And also various other people there. Rome, 1930. Reception given by Mussolini. And also California, Aldous Huxley, of course, knew her, and many others as well. So that's a real good read. And another book about Anita Loos as well, a biography by Gary Carey, I guess that's how you say it, Bloomsbury. Real nice read as well. Now, this one doesn't have a huge amount of pictures, but it's got a few. And also, of course, got lots and lots of text about her life, MGM, and all the various people that were involved, all the directors, the producers, etc., all the way through. And you can see there, Paulette Goddard on the set of Modern Times. She did lots of, obviously, scripts for lots of these early films. And, yeah, lots of details about that. I love that. Happy birthday, Lousy Christmas. This is one of the best titles, Dangerous Curves Atop Hollywood Hills. However, the lives, careers and misfortunes of 14 hard luck girls of the silent screen, an absolutely fascinating read, even if it's one of the most unusual titles. Lots and lots of examples all the way through of various people who were mega big for a couple of years, and sadly their careers just went. But that was the way it happened. I guess it happens now. But of course now we've got the internet and everyone sort of like remembers all these people. I suspect the names in here will probably not be remembered by many. And other than probably the families, of course. And there it is. Now, I would have to say I did not know a single name there. But they are all fascinating stories. It gives a lot of detail about their lives, as much as possible, of course. Sometimes it's virtually impossible to know what happened to them. You've got there, obviously, the actress there, and sometimes you can't even read the writing, obviously, what's their names. But this one's Agnes Ayres, and it goes, of course, we'll be at the children's department tomorrow, apparently, from 1 to 2 on the second floor. This is 1934. There's Olive Borden. And there's obviously a name. I love these ones, these advertisements. I'd love to see a book solid with this. The only book I've seen similar to that with all these sort of clippings is a lovely film noir one. I would love to see an equivalent book with all the ones from various, obviously, silent movies. That would be just fascinating. Eleanor Fair. Now, lots of these films probably don't exist as well, so it's virtually impossible. Probably if you went and looked online to try and find any films with them in, probably not that many. You've got the filmographers there. You can see 1917, 1918, all the way through to 1919, 1921. It appeared in lots and lots of films, all the way through to 1930 31. Now you've got Van Dyke there. I wonder any relation to a certain Dick Van Dyke. Barbara Lamar, and also Marie Prevost, and many others. But a really, really good read, this book is. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. This one is a lovely book as well. Silent Visions. I think there's another one. I think there's a Charlie Chaplin equivalent. I think. Maybe wrong. But still, this is just a great book. Discovering early Hollywood and New York. I love New York. So it combines two things. Great lots and lots of old photos of New York, as well as the silent movies of Harold Lloyd. I've got a massive DVD box set of all his films, or considered most of them anyway. Just love them. Absolutely brilliant. And you can see lots and lots of lovely pictures here. Gives all details of where they're like, from hand to mouth. And you can see, obviously, given details there first, and what they look like sometimes now. All those sort of things. Just fascinating sort of snapshots of various places and things, all the maps. And what a great read this is. Just brilliant. I love it. Look at those, some of those buildings. Absolutely staggering. Can't imagine all of them were in New York. Was that in New York? That is amazing. Beverly Hills Hotel. Unlikely, of course. But also there's obviously some that are probably more likely to be that period. Let's just see. This is LA. For a book that says New York on the front cover, the first couple of ones I've shown have all been all from LA. Let's see these sort of things. I love these sort of pictures where people are just showing odd bits of the building. Fascinating. Just showing where this sort of scene was. And now actually there's some great ones. There's, I think, Real Movies. There's a website where you can go on the British ones. And I love looking at those. Sort of see the film and you can see what it looks like now. Just fascinating. You can see, like I said, all these pictures. Hot Water. It's film Harold Lloyd in Hot Water. And I have no idea where that one. 1214 S Lake Street, apparently. I haven't seen that many of New York. Finally, got to New York. Here's a lovely picture of New York. Back obviously in the day. I don't know where that was, right? New York, Charles Lindbergh. Arrival on June 13th, 1927. But also Roosevelt Building and many, many others. But look at the research that's gone into pinpointing all these various places. Just fascinating. Look at that building there. But this is a lovely book. Let's just turn that around so you can see the details about the book as well. Here it is. Early Hollywood through the films of Charlie Chaplin. I knew it was something like that. Also, the films through the films of Buster Keaton and Silent Traces. So another one of those sort of brilliant books with lots and lots of photos of various places. But I love Harold Lloyd, so it's great to get this book. And this one's an unusual one. Picked this up in the local just charity shop, and I just thought, what's this? Hove Pioneers and the Arrival of Cinema. That's a very narrow band of talk, but it's talking about obviously the films, and lots of these various films were made in sort of like Brighton or wherever, or sort of around the coast. They made them Whitstable or whatever, I don't know, just making places up, deal. But there was loads and loads of these things. Of course, many of them all sadly all disappeared, all just closed up shop. That was it. Probably lots of films were destroyed. Maybe some copies still survive, but loads and loads of details about that sort of period, about all the various films. And you can see there, I don't know what happened there. It's like, I don't know if something happened with the film or not. Also, Barnes collection obviously gives detail about the collection there. So, a fascinating little read about the Hove Pioneers and the Arrival of Cinema. And finally, this one's a really odd book. Charlie Chaplin, My Life in Pictures. Autobiography, but illustrated story of a comic genius, as he says there. And it's just full of lots of pictures all the way through. Lots and lots of just fascinating little read all the way through it. See lots of there. Photographs, obviously some of the films and things. You've got Dough and Dynamite. Various thing. That's another thing, Dough and Dynamite again. So you can see from French tarts there. And also, of course, all the various people he was meeting. And obviously other people there. There's Charlie Chaplin again. Even more pictures of Charlie Chaplin all the way through. This book is just solid pictures. Lots of things like all the various costs of things. That's just really, and also the various, how much was paid. You've got here cast, you've got Charlie Chaplin, you've got all the details about the various $5 for this person, all that sort of stuff. See there. And also some other films, of course, as well. Really interesting, unusual book. Really packed solid with lots and lots of great photos. So My Life in Pictures. And that's a run through of all the books, unless I find another couple, because I often do. I go through these things and suddenly I find another book. I think, oh, that should have included that film book. But still, hope you found this of interest. Have you got any of these? Will you be tending to get some of these? Or maybe you just don't like silent movies and not really interested in silent movies or any of those sort of books. So it'd be nice to hear in comments about these silent movies, whether you've enjoyed them. Have you watched any on YouTube? Have you bought any Blu-rays or DVDs of silent movies as well? Because, of course, very rare you actually see them on TV now. I think Sky Arts in the UK occasionally has the odd silent movie, maybe BBC 4, you might get a bit. But one time you used to get on the BBC loads, probably other channels as well, but you used to get loads and loads of silent movies. You know, they were everywhere. Now, never see them at all. I haven't seen any on BBC One for years when it comes to silent movies. Maybe they do, I don't know, but I've certainly never seen any. Anyway, hope you found this of interest. Any questions and thoughts? Always great to hear in the comments. Bye.